Okay, so first of all, if this message found you, it's definitely not by chance, especially because I'm seeing it as the nature of this message holds a very specific frequency that is designed to go out into the field, into this holographic construct, and find you a resonant match to the frequency of the lesson. All right, there's something around the frequency of the lesson that you are remembering. It was always designed to meet you this way. I see a dog sitting in the distance now. Anyway, it's all about sacral energy. I'm trying to remember what the dog was in my spirit animal message. I think it's about loyalty, and it could be about how you're being called to just be more loyal to yourself. I'm hearing not abandoning your own soul's journey. Anyway, I want to talk to you a lot about this large center of primordial life force. It's one of the biggest engines of creation, and it's a lot to do with your emotional realm. And I'm hearing how you're able to channel that, how you're able to alchemize that and express that out into the world. I'm seeing everything manifest or is channeled through the etheric and emotional bodies before it manifests into the physical. So there could be, I'm hearing a transduction system that you are, that's very much alchemy at work. I'm hearing you being present with the alchemical force within you. A transduction system is the ability to turn a lower energy state into a higher energy state. And I'm seeing this as a force of creation is the word. So it's definitely the magician type of energy. But yeah, how do I explain that real quick with the transduction system? It kind of reminds you of, okay, this is my muse, or this is going to be a source of fuel for me. I'm hearing something that makes you further accelerate along your path. I'm seeing along your dharma at a very highly energetic rate, right? Something that accelerates you instead of deters you. So I'm going to go ahead and read to you actually my messages from meditation this morning, because I was being called to actually come to the beach. There's something around you being near the water, or I'm going to take you into the water. We'll see. But let me go ahead and run through these messages with you real quick so that we can get on the same, we're already on the same wavelength, but I feel like our minds are merging in a way that our hearts are already very acquainted. So the first thing that showed up for me in meditation was the suppression of truth, and there was a huge contraction in the throat chakra. And I see this as either needing to speak more of your truth, needing to live out more of your truth, your highest possible expression. The throat chakra talks about, our highest multidimensional abilities and gifts, and being able to become a conduit in order to anchor and ground that into the physical realm. So in many ways, I'm hearing merging our higher intelligence with our lower intelligence, which is super interesting. But it's essentially merging our most multidimensional otherworldly abilities and our divine nature with our human nature, and having to roam and express that freely and unapologetically as we move through this realm, because I'm hearing two worlds move through you as you move through this world. So hold space for that internal contrast and walking paradox that you are, because there will be a lot of different responses. There will be a lot of different reactions that you'll have as you move through life in this sustained way where you restore harmonic order within yourself. Therefore, you've learned to hold space for your own imbalances. And so you can recognize when those imbalances or internal wars are happening within other individuals within this system, right? Other extensions or expressions of you, because there is still a incongruency between the merging of their two worlds, or I'm hearing living out their truth as well. When we are not living out our truth fully, it creates a lot of internal friction or tension. And so there's something around holding space, all right? Holding space for both sovereign beings during that process. Then after the throat chakra, I was feeling disempowerment in the solar plexus, which ultimately was being followed by this deep insecurity within the sacral. So it all came down to the sacral being the root. And let me go ahead and read you my notes real quick. I said, was it yours, or did you adopt these vibrations as your own from your environment? Did your vessel or container begin to hold those frequencies to the point for so long that you created an identity around it? And it reminded me of, every time I go into hypnosis in this way, a whole database of information opens up, and the whole database is basically memories that have occurred during space-time travels, and it's showing me examples of scenes where there are subconscious agreements that play out due to ancestral wounds that we have adopted, okay, as part of our resonance to pull forward our generational lineage. So anyway, the scene that was showing up was kind of being in circle time, and just I think it was so long ago, you know, it must have been a nursery or something, and we're all seated there in circle time, and this girl, Lottie, she basically looks at me and she sticks her tongue out, and I was like, that's interesting. And so in that moment, the human has a few different choices, but I chose to mirror back those wounds by sticking my tongue out back. Okay. And that led me to get in trouble and go sit in the corner and face the wall, right? Anyway, the story behind it is that we can choose to mirror back the wounds of others, especially because those around us have calibrated their nervous system in such a way to subconsciously expect certain responses from us. But I'm hearing what happens when we begin to no longer reinforce the expectations that those around us have for us is that there is this recalibration period. There is something that is incredibly disorientating to those around you as you subtly or dramatically disrupt and reinforce these ways of being. I'm hearing as you reinforce these ways of being more connected to yourself, you also disrupt the point of reference that they had for you, and also the point of reference that you had for yourself. You're understanding what it is that you'll tolerate, what it is that you will no longer, what has aligned with your values and what no longer does. And hold on. So before I get into the rest of these notes, in the astral realm, I anchored back this message as well. As you can tell, this is just completely free flow. But I know when it's like chaotic like this, there's a cosmos within it, and there's always a secret order to what appears to be disorderly. But last night in the astral realm, I said that our morals, our values and integrity are constants for us. There's something that anchors us into our body. It anchors us into the grid, and those anchors bleed into dream time as well, and the application of free will becomes accessible. If we're able to apply that within this dream or physical reality, that also bleeds into how we navigate, I'm hearing, and how we follow our moral compass throughout many other dimensions. So after that, I spoke about what happened with going back to that scene was that I mistaked her sense of insecurity or comparison as my own, and boundaries would be necessary in order to discern the entanglement that was underlying, or the resonant chord. And what I needed most in that moment was security within myself, which was to understand and observe the unmet needs of her inner child, and also my unmet needs as an inner child, which was, okay, maybe I wanted this human to be able to be more compassionate towards me, or be more kind, or be more thoughtful. Well, how can I anchor those expressions into my body first, right? How can I hold space for myself? How can I be more compassionate towards myself? When I came to that realization, the impact that it once had on me was non-existent at that point, because I was looking back at the situation through the lens of wisdom, and it no longer had the same emotional charge within my body. I'm hearing it no longer disrupted my way of being. These external circumstances didn't govern, I'm hearing, the relationship that I would have with myself. And so I saw it with emotional clarity instead of the emotional body kind of overrunning the highest truth of the energetic exchange, which is, can you put yourself in another being's shoes and also put yourself in your shoes simultaneously and understand the higher theme that's playing out? Okay. So instead of asking, well, why did they do this to me? Or why did they make me feel this way? You begin to ascend into higher frameworks of thinking and feeling about it, which was, you know, how did I abandon myself in this moment? And when you notice that, everything changes, because you recognize and remember really that you never really needed anything from anyone external. Instead, you were able to be vulnerable enough with yourself and meet your own unmet needs. And again, how can you expect someone to meet your needs that isn't even able to hold space for themselves at that time, or at this point in time, or at a point in time in their own journey, right? How can you expect someone to bring you a sense of security when they're feeling insecure about that I'm hearing own truth? They're feeling insecure about their own relationship that they have with themselves. What someone does or does not do is a reflection of the relationship that they have with themselves, and then your response to that is a a reflection of the relationship that you have to yourself as well. And so discernment becomes a huge lesson because you can create those boundaries in such a way where you understand where one person's emotional landscape begins and where another one ends. Okay, so this is the sacral inner space, if you guys are familiar with that message, and it talks about vulnerability. I think it's tenderness, sensuality, and I'll read some of the notices for you. At this point, my hair can just do whatever it wants because it's just like doing its own thing, right? Jesus. Okay, so maybe that's better because the wind's blowing that way. So this governs everything from sexuality to our capacity to express the tender and more sacred parts of ourselves. It's governed by water, and so it helps us move with the flow of life in order to express our most authentic self. So authenticity is like a huge theme when it comes to this. It also transports us to the sacred inner space, and it shows an inner temple with flowing water and the blooming lotus. It can manifest as pure life force. You're being guided to the gateway of your sacred self. This is an opportunity to recognize the more tender and vulnerable aspects of your being that hold great keys to your power. Honor the sacred within and reclaim any parts of yourself that you have disconnected from or abandoned. If you want to experience more love and belonging, look within. There's a huge lesson in finding love within yourself. Realize false narratives have been floating around your energetic field, stories that have discouraged you from expressing yourself, and you may have even been lied to or told that you aren't beautiful. And this is here to remind you that you are, and you can create beauty in the world from that place. Recognize that you hold the power of the universe within you, and then you'll find your flow. And I see that, like you stepping into your flow state and what that looks like. At this stage of your journey, right? What feels authentic to you at this stage of your journey. And again, just morals, values, moving through the system with integrity. And what is integrity, guys? Like, huge reminder. It's to, I'm hearing, first of all, do what it is that you want to do when you want to do it. But integrity is, not seeking external acceptance, not seeking external validation. Instead, you're able to accept and validate yourself as you embark on your life's journey. I'm hearing life's mission. And if you need a witness, then become your own. Growth isn't something that you need to announce. Palm trees do not announce their growth. In its silence becomes its own transmission. It demonstrates through the way that it carries itself. It demonstrates through the way that it holds itself. I'm hearing the way that it's able to hold itself. So how well are you holding yourself through your life experience? And then this came out, flying out, by the way, afterwards, which is an Orion activation card. So it talks about supernova and being rebirthed by light. So all your fears and setbacks are being stripped from your energy now, and it's essential for your old way of being to fall away and for you to go through a process of renewal in order to move forward. The old stories of your life aren't yours to live out or live up to. You are far greater than these limiting experiences, and the beings of Orion are surrounding you now, and they see you as one of them. Someone who has been born with the knowledge that they can live with great purpose and make a real difference in the world, whether on a global scale or a particular corner of the planet. When you draw this card, you're being reminded that you have infinite star power. So these are space holders who help all those with star power and star potential to make changes required to become the most ascended and aware form of themselves. So it's highly masculine energy, and it also talks about it's similar to the Lemurians as well, which is all about the realm of frequency, the realm of vibration, and trusting your inner compass. The compass was coming back up again today, which is, I was talking about in a Polaris reading that I did, that it becomes your anchor, this higher intelligent being that you are, this fluid, non-physical aspect of yourself is that observer. And the observer is greater than any experience that unfolds before you, whether that's the highest highs and the most rapid, spin rates of frequency light, the highest, fastest oscillations, which is compassion and unity. And I'm hearing acceptance becomes the neutralizer to whatever it is that you're feeling. If you can come back to a place of acceptance and just unconditional acceptance and saying, okay, this is what it is, or this is what it was, it neutralizes your cord to any entanglements through this physical dream of reality. And so trust that and trust yourself in that ability. But that being said, I'm going to love and leave you right there. I'm going to go back in the ocean right now because I want to do a little bit more. I just need to cool off right now, do a little bit more qigong, and then I'll speak to you very soon. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing because we'd love to have you around. Personal reading details are also down below. And if you've made it to this point, comment down below the lotus emoji or something that you feel is symbolic to this sacral chakra. It might be like the orange dot, it may be a water element, it may be the lotus, but yeah, let me know. I look forward to seeing that. And yeah, share also your own story. You know, I'd be interested to hear your point of return. That's what I'm hearing. There's something around a point of return in the midst of it all. When were you able to see a moment of chaos in your life through the lens of the cosmos? I'm hearing, when did the world stand still? When did time stop? And you remembered yourself as the eternal being, experiencing space-time moving through you, expressing and experiencing itself through you. I'm seeing the clock stop at 12. It strikes at 12 and then it ascends into 13, which is a fucus. So when was the moment that you were seated inside of this experience yet began operating, utilizing higher levels of awareness? Yeah, it's beautiful. The casting of the third dimensional shadow. You're casting a projection of yourself as you navigate this construct. It's not your true self, but it becomes a conduit for your timeless consciousness to explore life in this material plane, to participate within the holographic construct. And the sacral chakra is ultimately all about energetic exchange. So the exchange of energy, trusting yourself as you exchange that energy, and doing it unapologetically into your own truth as well. And recognizing and extending compassion to those who are experiencing profound levels of suffering in their own life, because they've been also rejecting or suppressing their truth in many ways. And you're able to do that because you can acknowledge the pain and suffering that you were also moving through before you were able to fully return to the self in this, I'm hearing world-renowned embodiment. So yeah, something beautiful is unfolding for sure. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to love and leave you right there. Until next time, bye!
Clouds in the sky don't care if I stay all day. Dreaming of time when you and I were there.